and welcome back to yet another episode of the Gameable Audio, a VGM podcast. And this week's episode, we're actually having another special. And this is one that me and one of the guests have been talking about for quite some time. And now is the time to actually get together and talk about this soundtrack. So the game we're talking about is Deliver at All Costs. And the composers that are by my side is, well, the classic Patrik Jarlestam. Hello and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you and tack så mycket.
And to his side, we have none other than Carla Dobbie. Welcome to the podcast as well.
Thank you. Talk. Yeah.
That's awesome. You said it exactly how you should.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Carla, you're new to the podcast. You've been listening a little bit on a previous episode with me and Patrik. Patrik feels like one of those composers that really enjoy what I'm doing right here. This is the third time he's joining in.
Yeah.
But this time, he's going to be more of a side character in a sense, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
This one is not about me. This is about Carla.
He's my right-hand man today.
But we're definitely going to be understanding a little bit more about the dynamic you have and a little bit of understanding maybe why Patrik might be joining this episode as well and not just focusing on Carla. But before we dive into this kind of coexistence of you two being together, let's actually focus a little bit more on Carla here. Since you're new, I haven't really heard your name before other than when Patrik has been talking about you. I would like to know a little bit more about you, and especially all the listeners out there will most likely want to listen a little bit about your origin story. Like, where did you start out with knowing that you liked music to the extent that you would like to get into it?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, I mean, like you said, Patrik and I worked together on Deliver at All Costs, and that was my debut, major game. I've worked on a few, tiny things with Patrik before, but not in any major capacity. But yeah, this is my first release, and so yeah, it's very good to be here. But yeah, music-wise, my history. So originally, I'm actually a jazz trombonist. I did jazz at the Sydney Conservatorium, and then when COVID hit, blah blah blah, I went and studied film music at the Australian Film and Television and Radio School. It's called AFTRS for short, much easier to say. So yeah, my background's in jazz and trombone. I did classical and jazz growing up in school. And yeah, COVID was kind of the perfect time to realize my dream of being a composer and really put all of my efforts into it. When I was growing up, I mean, for music context, I knew I wanted to be a professional musician at some capacity. Whether it be a performer or a composer, when I think I was 12 or 13, and I had been playing trombone, and I just loved it so much, and I started listening to a bunch of composers, and at first it was majorly in film music, and Danny Elfman was my big inspiration, and his music for what's it called? Edward Scissorhands, duh. It's just amazing music. And then video games, I listened to Austin Wintree's Journey soundtrack, and gosh, it was so beautiful. And I was just like, that's what I want to do. And then yeah, I fell into it. I made the choice oh no, I'm gonna be a performer. I'm going to play jazz trombone, which was an amazing experience. I got to play a lot of different styles of music. I did a lot of musicals, a lot of salsa, reggaeton, and reggae, and jazz, of course. And so I got to know a bunch of different things about music, or see music from a lot of different aspects. And then when COVID came, everyone stopped playing, pretty much. And I wanted to write music. I knew I wanted to try to get into video games, but I didn't know the path for that. So I started looking into film, knew I needed to learn about classical orchestration. And then I met Patrik, who was a mutual friend. And he did music for video games, classically trained. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. So a friend put us in touch. And then I got some lessons from him. And I think like after a couple months of lessons or a year of lessons or something, Patrik asked if I wanted to try to make a demo for this game and gave me the reference track, which was Peanut Vendor, the Peanut Vendor, which is a 1940s jazz track. And I did I did a demo in about an hour, and that formed the basis of the title track for Deliver at All Costs, which is Peanut Smoothie Fire. But yeah, that's how I kind of came to be, and that's how me and Patrik came to be. And then we've been working together ever since, and we're working on some new projects now. So I feel very, very blessed.
That's really interesting. Like, first and foremost, looking at where you kind of came from and what like made you choose the instrument and so on. But it felt like more like I usually say banana peeling. You just slid into something and it just happened. Was that the right interpretation of you starting with the trombone?
Like, kind of. It's kind of funny. I'm one of 6 kids. And
big family.
Yeah, big family. Not even Catholic. I don't know. My dad was a farmer. I guess he needed help on the field, intrinsically, instinctually. No, he was a farmer when he was growing up. But yeah, so I'm one of 6 kids. One of my brothers played trombone, and then my twin sister played trombone. And I was like, I'm not playing trombone. And I signed up for choir. This was when I was 11 years old in school. And then did a year of choir, which was actually amazing. Like really amazing music teachers, like exposed us to a whole bunch of genres, like a lot of Southeast Asian music, some African music, and yeah, it was amazing exposure. Then we swapped schools, and so a year later there was no choir program. I still loved music, so I wanted to do music. And so they were like, okay, you have to choose an instrument. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna choose trumpet, because God, no, I'm not playing trombone. Like, I already have 2 siblings who do that. So I chose trumpet, and I loved it so much that after about a month, I just wore out my face. But like your embouchure, that's what I don't know if you're super familiar with brass instruments, but basically the muscles around your mouth, they're just like any muscle, and they can get tired. And I was playing so much that I had completely tired them out that I couldn't make a sound on the trumpet after a month of playing it. And so me and my twin swapped instruments, and then we're like, oh, this is great. And so it was just an accident, and I ended up playing trombone despite my efforts to avoid it. And I just loved it so much. I loved playing really loudly, and that was so brass was really appealing. And then when I discovered jazz music, which was a couple of years later, because orchestral music, especially because trombone's not a super popular instrument, like I could play loud. But then when I discovered jazz, I was like, oh, I can really play loud. And it's celebrated. People won't tell me to keep it down. Actually, they do, but less often. So yeah, it's a funny thing, like, trying to avoid it, but I guess, whether it's fate or just like a series of fortunate events, I ended up on trombone. And yeah, it's it was my obsession all throughout my childhood.
But that's awesome. You're just finding something you're passionate about so early on as well. Like, listening to people today, it feels like, oh, I haven't found my purpose yet. I haven't found this or that. And then they just have like a side hobby or something like that. But it sounds like you found your calling at this point in time, as it worked so well for you.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's funny. So COVID happened, which is one of the reasons I stopped playing trombone. But also I had an injury. And that's because like the school I went to is a small school. I never actually had a trombone teacher until I got to university. And by that point I had like a lot of technical issues, and then but I still had to play trombone, with classes and the gigs I was doing. And then coincidentally, like as one of the many coincidences in my life, like my how to say, my technique just gave out. I again couldn't play a note, but this time it was something that would take a year or more to fix. So that's kind of really what took me to composition. But yeah, I always think back, like, well, I ended up in composition anyway. Like, would I change how I got there? And the answer is definitely no. But because I loved my journey and what got me here, and I think it gives me a different flavor, especially being a trombonist. You sit in a lot of the harmonic spaces in a band or an orchestra. You're there to support, which means you're also there to listen. So I feel like my ear really developed from that experience, and also, you know, all of the amazing players I met along the way, and all the friends I made. Those are the people who played on the Deliver soundtrack, actually. Pretty much just my friends and a couple teachers. So yeah. Anyways, I'm very happy to be here.
That's absolutely amazing as well. Just doing what you love and doing it with friends and people you care about, it's even more golden. I don't think too many people have that chance all the time either.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a very special moment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, feel super lucky. Everything worked out, and worked out in the best way. Even though maybe at the time I couldn't really necessarily see that, like, you know, had to stop playing something I love so much. But it opened the world, and I've realized another dream, and also got my dream in the first place. So feel very happy.
I can already tell, like, even we don't have any cameras or anything, but I can tell you're smiling right now.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, Patrik can verify.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Patrik's smiling too.
It's quite fun.
It is amazing. I'm smiling too as well, because I'm already enjoying this, and we're just starting this. It is amazing. No, but considering also when you started to get to know each other as well, like moving onwards a little bit here, and you said, Carla, here that you had a friend that knew both of you, that connected you both together. And what was your first impression of Patrik? Guessing like you didn't know too much more than what your friends said.
No, yeah, I didn't know anything except that he was Swedish.
My defining characteristic.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think like when you think of a stereotypical Swedish person, you think like bright blonde hair, super tall, like that Scandinavian accent. And then I met Patrik. I'm like, he's just a goofy guy, like, and completely like. I mean, you can definitely be serious. Like, you can be serious about business, about work, but in a day-to-day, you're just like a silly, funny person. And especially because like we met pretty much like a year after Valheim took off as well. So you had like a prestige, I guess, as well. But yeah, just super down to earth guy. So and it's interesting as well, like getting lessons from you, and you being sorry, I'm playing with something that I shouldn't be playing with. I need a fidget spinner or something.
See, we're learning about ourselves in this podcast.
Yeah, note to self: Christmas, Black Friday, buy a fidget spinner. Meeting Patrik, and he's like a very welcoming and warm and funny person. And then we talk about music, and you know, you've shown me the stuff you've worked on. You've shown me your favorite pieces, like Gregorian chant was one of the first things we studied together. And it's just like, it's speaking about music with a depth of appreciation and a humanness. And when I came from jazz, so much of my mind is technical, especially because I had just finished my university degree. And, you know, university is more, I think, at a very ground level, it's about giving you tools. So you approach music with a tool set, and maybe you forget the emotionality of it. Whereas when I was talking to Patrik, it was giving me a new toolkit of orchestration, classical orchestration, but it was also about humanity and emotion and sensitivity. So yeah, I guess my first impression of Patrik was a very wide facet. Yeah, but I think my first impression is very accurate for today as well. Like you are that person.
That is very true. We do have a lot of fun working together, in the sense of that it has to be fun. We're driven both by passion for the music and what we do, but also having fun. And I think when you work in a space as that can be as hectic as composing music for video games, and there's everything from short turnarounds, and you work with different clients that have different needs and different projects, and you want to meet that expectation to be a professional person, you need the opposite outlet when you're serious in meetings, and you have to have the funny hangout way of being when you're not in business. And I think Carla's way of what your interpretation of me when you met me is absolutely spot on, because I'm not blonde, I'm not tall, but at least I'm funny, and I'm quite happy with that description. I've done quite well with what I have.
Yes, definitely.
But that's great as well. Like, considering from your perspective, Patrik, as well, I know you have this amazing passion for the music and how you talk about it and so on. It's like your first impression of Carla then, like just knowing from this friend that talked about Carla, it's like, hey, I have a composer that you should talk to. She's new though, but like, what were your first impressions of her?
Very, very chipper, very happy person. And just like a sponge in terms of learning, just really took on everything we talked on really quickly. And I could see that sort of the learning curve of what I was trying to teach, and everything from the orchestrational way of looking at string orchestra to the rule sets and what makes it classical. I know a little bit about jazz. I feel like I've dealt into that world, but after meeting Carla, knowing how much she knows about jazz, I feel very humble and happy that I can say I don't know much about jazz. But it was really cool to see how quickly she grew, and I could see very early on that working together was really fun, and she had a skill set that I didn't have, and that would sort of set the groundwork for, I had a belief and I felt really early on that Carla's going to go far. She has all of that sort of what's necessary to survive and thrive in this world. And after having worked on Deliver together, I can see that even now, because we work together 5 days a week. Not always in the same room. Sometimes we co-work together, which is one way of writing music. That's really cool. And sometimes we work in our own studios and just have a sort of morning meeting, chatting. And it's really good that she's an early riser, so she's on the ball with getting things done early, and I get to sort of come in and have my slow morning. But then I work until like 3 or 4 in the night instead. Sometimes I'm trying to cut down that habit. But it's, like the soundtrack we're going to talk about today, Deliver at All Costs, was it was one way of working together where I did the tracks that I had the experience and stylistic knowledge of, and Carla did the ones that she had stylistic knowledge of. And it was more, because of a short time frame, it was more of doing what we're specialized in. And the game project that we're working on at the moment, we try to write the songs very much together to get the best of both of us. And also a different way of negotiating what we choose musically to stay in. And I think that's the sort of fun challenge. And I feel like we've grown more to become, we're both friends, we're colleagues, but sort of we developed a slightly brother-sisterly sort of, no, I don't want this. Yes, I want that. Yes, we're going to go with that. Negotiational tactics, which is also quite fun. And it works really well. And I think that what I saw in Carla, meeting her from the beginning, is absolutely still true today.
That's awesome as well. Like one of the things you and me talked about in the last episode where we talked was a little bit about having the eagerness to be able to stay and be sure about your craft, etc. Is this something Carla already had, or something you've been teaching her a little bit? To me, it sounds like she already has a little bit of that.
She does. And I think there's been a couple of generational quirks, things that I've learned in sort of the generation I grew up in, and how we view work and work-life balance, or lack of work-life balance, compared to that Carla's grown up in a different place from me and is slightly younger. as well and have different inspirations, there are a couple of meeting points where we have viewed things in a very different way. And I think that's, it takes a fair amount out of you to work in this world. And I felt that we need to come together on a meeting point and how to work together in that world. And I think that I've taught Carla a couple of things about what is expected in the business world of delivery and sort of behavior. I mean, especially because we're delivering mostly to Scandinavian clients, and that's something that's the world that I'm from. But also, of course, Carla has taught me a lot about work-life balance and staying true to being slightly firmer in certain negotiations about time. So I absolutely feel like we've both taught each other quite well, and that's a really important thing. My mum always used to say that you have to hang out with the young kids, because that they teach you so much about what's happening in life and the new things. And I know it sounds strange maybe saying Carla's like, but Carla is the young crowd. She's got the cool new ideas coming in with lots of new inspirations and things, and that keeps me young and hearing about what's happening, what's new and fun. And in 10 years' time, both of us are going to go, we need to hang out with the young crowd again and get the next generation of cool kids coming in, teaching us about what's new, what's happening, how to think about things, and a lot of new experiences. And I think that's hopefully what's going to keep us young all our lives.
Yeah. It feels like it can give a lot of perspective, but it feels also like it's dangerous to dip your toes in something you don't really know and trying to understand. Like I'm starting to feel this with all the kind of memes going on with kids just saying random things, and then they're like, haha, this is so much fun. I'm like, I'm old now because I don't understand it.
I feel like that too. For context, I'm 29. I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not like 21 and know that much about, I don't know. Well, I've heard about 6, 7. I don't think I need to know more than that. But but yeah, I think it's definitely true. Like what Patrik's saying, like I think like in a work approach, and I think I like from trombone, I had really good advice from another trombonist in the generation above me, and she said like a career in music is just about tenacity, because if you're putting the work in, you will get better, you will get the gigs, because it's about surviving the storm when there's not work. And so I had that mentality that, you know, just keep pushing and figure out and always have plan B's and C's for when something doesn't work out, or if you need more money, you know, like very, like stay aware of your finances. Don't just stay like naive and hopeful, but keeping that hope so you can weather the storm and think something's gonna happen around the corner. But also Patrik taught me the tenacity in the way, like, you know, for this project, for example, like I've learned so much about like time management, because sometimes you don't get something when you need it to come. And so you will just need to put in like a 16-hour day. And that sucks. Yeah. But, you know, if the recording's like in 2 days, the work needs to be done. And there's... Yeah. And whereas before, like, I think I've always had some sort of safety net where I could push the boundary a little bit. But in this, like, people are relying on you. It's not about you. And so you have to really give yourself to a project and get the product that needs to be done. Yeah, so I think definitely Patrik's helped me a lot in many professional ways of this business. So yeah.
It's great. And also I guess it's good to have that sort of mentor as well to help you like scout the waters a little bit as well, and have a little bit like, yeah, you should avoid this water a little bit right now. It's a little bit deep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing I've learned. Just you don't need to be a perfectionist, or if something's not happening, like you're not getting an idea when you need an idea, just move on and do the easiest thing to get it out of the way. And then just keep completing tasks and it'll happen, because you know composing is a beautiful thing, and sometimes you have like divine inspiration and everything comes easy. But when it's not coming easy, you have to treat it more like a 9 to 5 or, you know, longer, depending on the hours. And you have to just keep chipping away at something, you know, like some sort of marble sculpture. Even one chip is a chip closer to getting the sculpture done.
That is very true.
Exactly. I also wanted to lift that Carla, of course, has a very cool skill sets that I don't have. And when I think about that in a potential set, to say that I've mentored Carla in the same way you've mentored me in your knowledge bases. And there's so much about jazz I don't know, and I find really cool. I ask you as a specialist in that field. And also because you've done film music studies, and I haven't written much for films before. I've only done like edited. I've been a sound editor for one movie short, and we've composed one short movie together. It was there's so much I can learn there, and Carla chucks just out nuggets of wisdom from time to time when we work with things like, this is how it's done in the movie world. And so that's the cool thing, that it's a take and a give, or giving and receiving. It's a better term for that.
Yeah.
And so it's not just that one learns and one gives or receives. It's very much a team effort. And I think that's what is the coolest thing, that whatever we go into now feels like it's a team effort.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's a really good dynamic as well, not just being one that tends like, I'm just receiving, and then expects that all the time. Now it is a little bit give and take all the time. And I think it's much healthier as a relation for that kind of workshop.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it makes us more professional equals than like I'm an intern or a composer assistant or something like that. We definitely feel like creative equals, and we very much value each other's input and suggestions, and consider everything each other says as equals. So yeah, I mean, obviously Patrik has like more experience than me, and I always take his words very seriously and his wisdom very seriously. But it's really nice to have sort of a creative balance between us.
It is awesome. It is. No, but I think it's time for us to dive a little bit more into the specifics now of Deliver at All Costs. And before we're diving in, just to give a little bit of a perspective of the game so people know what we're talking more about if people haven't played the game before. So Deliver at All Costs, it was developed by a Swedish game studio called Studio Far Out Games. And the game has been released on PC, PS5, Xbox, and this was released on the 22nd of May, 2025. Deliver at All Costs, it is like a crazy and insane single-player game that is set in 1959, where you basically take the role of the character Winston Green. The character, he is a former engineer, and he's basically about to start his first day at the company we deliver. You will unveil this kind of funny and silly story, you will upgrade your car, you will steal special cars, and in the end, well, deliver the package at all costs. The game, it is played from an isometric perspective, and a majority of this game is just built of a city that is just up for destruction. Like I said, deliver the packages at all costs. But with this said, let's listen in on the first track of this week, and that one is called Hot Rod Shout. checking out Hot Rod Shout from the game Deliver at All Costs. I'm not going to keep saying the game name over and over again, so I'm just reiterating this so people know for now. But anyway, for people that are new to this podcast, every time we listen to one of these tracks, we're always starting off with a segment that I called Emotion. This is basically me sitting down in my dark room. I'm making it dark by shoving everything. And I'm putting on the headphones, I listen, I close my eyes, and I listen to this track until I feel something. I write that thing down, and then I will present this to the composers, and basically we will take it from there. So when it comes to Hot Rod Shout, this is a very playful and a happy track. It takes me to a time where like rollerblade burger joints was a thing. I can see the old cars line up outside of the burger place, and the roller waitresses skate up to the car, take the orders. For me, it kind of is the kind of filter thing of this song that the melody quality doesn't feel as, and I quote, clear. It feels like I'm listening to an old track of a Beach Boys song. And it's just crazy to me. I just love this track. It is one of the first tracks that we hear within this game. But I'll throw the question out first and foremost to Patrik here. Since the track is so early on in the game, was this also one of those first tracks you started working on?
No, this is one of the last tracks we did in the sort of segment of my guitar-based tracks, because the earlier ones had been surf rock music, and this was later in the game. And it's funny you say that with the intro of the game, because for a long time we tried to make other intros of the game, because you want to make the intro to a game at the end of a game where you sort of understand what the whole game's about and how it feels, and then you write one track that summarizes it all. And we just didn't seem to find the right thing that the game designer wanted. And so in the end, this track was chosen as a sort of in-between that for him felt like how the game felt. And it's... This is more of the tradition I grew up in with I know it's a bit apocryphal time-wise with this game, because this is more of a 1960s track than a 1950s track, but it exists in that time of space that spans both the 50s and the 60s. And this is sort of as far into the, not jazz because it's blues, but it's sort of the meeting point for both of our songs. All of our songs we did for this game was the blues. And this was this was my rawest blues. And then I think that what I call the Hot Rod Shout, shout chorus, which is the B part of this song, that was one of the things in this soundtrack that I was most proud of, because it felt like it hit the mark of being just old school cool.
And for people that don't know specifically, you're throwing a little bit of information here that not maybe everybody is aware of. For example, a B track. Is this like the second section of the song itself?
Absolutely, you're very, very right. Because this track starts off with a sort of guitar solo melody that comes back. That's the A part. A1, we call that. A2 is a guitar solo over the same chords that just happened. And then the B section is when you try to do something different from the first section. In classical music, we always try to do something that's contrasting. So in a lot of classical music, you will hear da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, Beethoven's Fifth. That's in a minor key, and it's strong and powerful. And the B part has to be a contrast to what you just heard. And so it's la la da 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 da, and it's in a major key, and it's soft and nice. But a lot of music after the classical sort of period is not like that. So the B part, we tried to be even cooler than the A part, and it's the da da doom doom da da doom doom da da doom brass part. And it's one of the few sort of brass things I wrote for this game, because Carla had brass writing duties, being the jazzer herself. But I'm quite proud of this one, and it went by her knowledge base, like, this is good enough.
Yeah, I gave it the stamp of approval. He presented the track, and I took it in, and I said, "Wonderful, brass," and I gave it back.
Nice. And I was happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brass approved.
Yeah. Exactly.
But this was also
Do
fun.
you have one of those stamps? It's like you put it on.
The air stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be amazing.
This was also fun because we recorded almost all of the music to the game is recorded with live musicians, which we found out, their idea was to try and record real musicians anyway, but we, of course, for the demos, tried to use whatever sample sets were available, and we scoured the internet. We scoured what we could of what was renowned sample sets, and none of them worked well enough to do what we wanted to do. There's no, at least at that time, no good enough jazz sample sets that made it sound and feel as good as having a real musician. I would say there are fantastic classically sampled sound sets of orchestras and classical musicians today that can do fantastic things. Of course, none of them give you the full facet of a classical musician, but they get close enough for a demo or background thing that it works, but there just wasn't anything that worked for jazz and blues. So we made the choice that we want to record and we have to record. And this is, so one of the things that we did is I played guitar on this, and we have, of course, the live guitarist who also played solos on it, Yutaru.
Yep.
And it's really fun to we were trading solos, even though we didn't play in the same session, because I had to record a demo as well as we could, and I played real guitar on that, and then we had to re-record everything with musicians, and then I added my takes onto that and tried to fit it as one big track, and that was really fun hearing the different styles, because of course he's a much better guitarist than I am, but I have the leverage of time and can make many different takes and recordings until I get something good, and then I can practice that, and then I can re-record it, sort of getting the perfect solo while he goes in and has one or two takes and just like, that's good.
That's so funny. I actually had no idea Yutaro was on there. I thought it was you the whole track.
Yeah.
But yes, Yutaro Okuda is a wonderful guitar player. Yes. I love this track. Good job, Patrik.
What was your experience? Like, how do you think of the track? Because it's mostly sort of my idea. But how did you think about it, Carla?
Hot Rod Shout?
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, it's exactly what you said. We realized pretty early on that blues would be the connecting factor between all of our songs. Because we always think about, like, how do we make one world cohesive, especially when there's two composers spanning a whole time period. And within a time period, you have so many different styles of music. How can we possibly connect everything? And in just about every track that's like in the game or like in the gameplay, like the world, it's got some facet of the blues, whether it's like a solo or whether it's chordal movements. So everything still sounds cohesive, and also that's stuff to do with how we've recorded it and mixed it as well. Also makes it really cohesive. But yeah, I love the brass. I think it's perfect horn writing for the style of music it is, and it helps again connect the worlds that we have horns playing on this track, and then also we have horns, of course, playing on the jazzier tracks.
We should probably say for people who are not necessarily in the musical world what horns are.
Ooh, very true.
This is the thing that we don't call them that in Swedish.
Yeah, very true. Horns. We say that in Australia. I think America would say that as well, but I'm not sure. But horns are any sort of jazz brass instrument, brass or wind instrument. So that's trumpet. Well, for this track, it's trumpet and tenor and alto saxophones. I don't think we have trombone on this one.
Potentially we do. I mean,
maybe we do.
Yeah. But basically trombone is part of that section as well.
Part of the horns as well. So yeah, anything brassy that you could imagine in a big band, that's a horn.
Interesting. Good question, Patrik. Thanks for co-hosting this.
Yeah.
You're way better than me.
No, but it was good that you posed the question of like explaining things, because you do get so blinded by talking about certain things all day, and then when you teach, you have to think about, what is this?
Yeah.
And as a classical person, we would not call that section horns at all. A horn for us is like the French horn.
Yeah.
Or the well, actually, that's actually not a horn. But it's by name a horn. But it's a whistle.
I'm not a classical person. Expose myself.
Yeah. But it's all it's all about how we shape things and what labels we put on it. Because an English horn sounds like it would be a horn, but it's actually a woodwind instrument. And no woodwind instruments in the classical world are horns, even though one is labeled as such. But that's all there's basically 1,200 years of collective ideas that go into classical music, and it's choices that have been made along the way that don't really stack up today still, but we do it for classical reasons still, and ease in that world. And if you don't know those rule sets or things that led to those choices, then it's hard to understand why it is that way. I mean, we call saxophones, which is basically a brass instrument, they're woodwinds because the reed you play through is a wooden reed, so it's a wind instrument. But when we think about woodwinds, we would think about flutes, orchestral flutes. We think about oboes and clarinets, but flutes are not made of wood these days. They're made of metal. So, it's a fun long story, but we shall get into that on another podcast.
Woodwind.
So what I've learned today, saxophone is just a curved flute.
Yes. They're fantastic.
Yeah. We love saxophone.
Yes.
No, but one thing that comes to a little bit of an interest of mine, one thing that always pops into my mind is when you're getting more and more like artists into the musicians, etc., into the project, it usually tends to build up and become more expensive. And looking at the studio here, it is a young studio. This was their first game as well. So I'm expecting not too much money went into the music. So not to go into any numbers, but how were you able to get in different musicians and so on and be able to use real life musicians to make the soundtrack?
Is this a question that you want to answer, Carla, or shall I?
I mean, we can probably answer it in part. In Australia, as I understand it, Australia, we pay less tax than Sweden. And so our general fees are lower. And also the Swedish krona is stronger than the Australian dollar, I believe. Perhaps. But anyway, the whole conversion and the situation means that it's cheaper to record Australian musicians than Swedish musicians. So we could pay people here a very fair rate, standard industry rate, for the work. And yeah, we're lucky enough to get a lot of people involved, and also
world-class quality here. Like the musicianship of, we should say, for people who don't, who are not in the music scene, that all of the musicians, we had not presented them with any reference of what they were going to play at the beginning of a session. They just rock up. We give them written sheet music and put in front of them, and they play it, not even try to play it through, but just we record every take and we do 3 takes per song, and that's it. And they've nailed it. Yeah, that's the sort of musical quality, and that exists in Sweden as well. I think both have fantastic qualities of musicianship, but there's also different availabilities. Like if we would need Swedish folk music, of course we would record that in Sweden because that's where the knowledge base is for there. Jazz is fantastic, both in Sweden and in Australia. Yeah, and because we work mostly in Australia, it's of course easier here. But yeah, it astounds me the level of musicianship that we get to work with and is available here in Australia. And there's a fun story about the bass player as well. You probably can tell better that she has another.
Oh wait, it's NDA. Oh wait, I'll avoid as much information as possible so I can still tell the story. But basically, Australia is very world class, like with music and recording music, where. A lot of, and especially during COVID, because of the COVID regulations in America, and Australia was still pretty okay, so we could still do recording sessions, whereas America had to halt their big orchestral sessions. So a lot of stuff could be recorded here, and then a lot of like the big industries or big companies or studios in America realized they could record here, like Marvel recorded a lot here. And the Planet of the Apes was recorded here. Mortal Kombat, the film, was recorded here. There's a lot of like very big movies being recorded here. And our bassist is also a singer, a very talented singer, and she's sung on a very famous film that I cannot...
Came out during that time, but we can't say which.
Yes, we can't say which. But yeah, the point is we have really great musicians here. And because of my previous history as a jazz trombonist, we have access to them. Like, it's not hard for me to find jazz people because they're just my friends or my teachers, and I just ask them if they're free. Whereas in Sweden, we'd have to build up a whole network.
Which I do have, but it's sort of, my network is split between Stockholm and Skåne, which means that I might need a specific musician in Stockholm, but then I'd have to go to Stockholm to record them as well. So it's good to have all three.
Yeah.
But like a cool example, we were recording for Valheim as well, and one of the clarinetists who was recording had that morning been to a session recording for World of Warcraft, and then came and recorded for Valheim just after that. So that's sort of the level of coolness exists here.
Yeah, and sorry, just on the budget thing, a point as well that saves cost is that you record each section at a different time. So then you can focus on one part of the music, record that, move on. You don't have to play a song the whole way through, and that's a take. So we spent 2 days recording the rhythm section, which is the guitar, bass, drums, and keys. Piano. And then we had 1 day for all of the brass parts, and we had 1 day for strings. And then we had 1 day of solos. And that wasn't even a full day. It was like half a day where we recorded Andrew Robertson, the alto / Barry / flute player, Miles Rooney, the trumpeter, and Jacob Parks, the trombonist. So you'll hear all of their solos featured on the tracks, and they're very wonderful.
It was a hectic week, though.
Yeah.
It was full on every day, and that was where it's shown working together, because you were leading, Carla, you were leading the jazz sort of rhythm section workshops or recordings more.
Yep.
And I could focus on the recording side of things. And then when we did strings, which were not necessarily classically written, but felt like that was more my thing, you could do more of the recording stuff together with Pete Longhurst, who was our co-recording engineer as well. And just having that, you could have 2 intense days and then your brain is basically crashed. Then the next person takes over and helps in the recording process. So we've decided that all recordings we're doing from now on should be the both of us there, because it's just so helpful having another person in the room who can take over and do things when you yourself you're concentrating on one thing.
Yeah.
But we managed to do like all the recordings for a good sum, which was fantastic and possible. And like I said, we needed to do it. But we were very lucky that the company were quite... they had high goals to get a budget for this. And because getting a publisher like Army, there were a couple of other publishers in the running, and I think they were sort of all world-class with the possibility of a good budget for this. And we knew it was going to have to be... You couldn't do anything else than go the full way with this kind of thing. We saw with games like Cuphead that I mean, they did demos on piano and then recorded with orchestra. So that would have cost a fair bit to do as well. But it was so necessary because you couldn't have done that in any other way. And that's just the way it is when we go to the eras where music was recorded only with live musicians. That's the only way to make it sound like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Like, it is so interesting to just listen to the whole story and start to get into the understanding of what you did with this. One thing that came to mind, because I have played through the whole game just to be able to listen through all the music and the different situations and so on. But there were one specific thing that really made it, I would say, meta. And I don't know if you already know what I will say here, but one of the characters in one of the segment with a cinematic, he actually hums the music. Is this just a pure coincidence, or was this something you guys recorded?
That was actually Daniel, the game designer's idea, because he sat in on all the casting sessions with all the voiceover artists. And he, for the second set of recordings with this, I think it's with the main character, voiced by a guy named Paul, he asked him to sing the main theme from the game, and he does that. I think the character who plays Norman also does that. And so we had backups.
Yeah, Norman was the one I reacted to.
Yeah, we had those two, I think, recorded humming voices, because the thing with this game is we had to anticipate and prepare ahead of time, because it was both a long production cycle for the whole game, but also very short on time in certain sections getting things done. Like, for example, we had to get everything recorded by a certain date, because that's how sort of much budget we had to do it. But because we knew that development would continue after we recorded, we also needed to make sure that there was enough music that was anticipatory and would work for different things. So the cutscene music of the game, we had to sort of try and feel like what are the styles and feels that we need throughout the game. And then, of course, we could add things on, like small snippets of things, add on later. But that was the thing that, they had to think ahead of time. And I think that was really fun where they did the whistling thing. It was a smart little move.
Yeah. No, it made me think like either you had your hand in this cookie jar or just the developers love the soundtrack so much that they're like, yeah, we're adding whistling. And they could have chosen any sort of track whatsoever, like a old, like child's song or something like that. But no, they chose to hum the soundtrack.
Yes. No, Daniel's quite clever like that. He's very well thought out in his choices. And I thought that was really cool. So no, it's when he proposed it or when we saw it, it's like, smart. Yes, I should have thought of it.
Yeah.
It made this kind of meta feeling to some extent because you have everything going on in this game. It just feels meta to some extent.
Absolutely, and it's quite fun. We'll have to use that in more games, I think.
Yes.
Definitely. I think it gets back to this little bit tongue-in-cheek in some extent, and I just love that kind of take because it makes you just, what did you just do? Oh, that's one.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just fun. It is just fun.
Exactly.
No, but I feel like we should continue to the next track so we can focus a little bit more because this track, you mainly composed this one, Patrik, and got some air stamps from Carla on this one. But the next track is more focused on Carla's work, I guess. Though.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So the next track that we're leaning into this time is Questionable Imports. Questionable Imports. Holy crap, this was a track. So my emotion for this one, a track that includes multiple solos that kind of takes the front stage. We have the saxophone that is one of the bigger that shines through this track. I'm just guessing it's a saxophone. For me, it's a saxophone. Or maybe a curved flute. Overall, the track gives me a more relaxing state as well. Almost like an James Bond launch music style, but played by a full band. I am a little bit afraid to state the genre. I know we already talked that we mainly use blues for this, but I took a shot in the dark anyway here in my statement. As I would guess that this is leaning towards either jazz or something similar or close to jazz. And it feels like I kind of hit the mark, right?
Yeah. Definitely in the jazz sphere. The jazz.
That's amazing. Like I'm always a little bit unsure, like all these kind of things. Like, am I missing out on something? Since I got that little Beach Boys vibes before, and that's a little bit beach rock, like we talked about, and then all of a sudden we have this, and it's like, mixed feelings.
Yeah, totally.
But it's good for me to hear that I'm a little bit in the ballpark. At least I'm not too like crazy in my head, at least.
Yep, definitely.
But Carla, for hearing this emotion out of a track you have done, how does that make you feel? Says the therapist Chris.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. It's cool to hear your impression. Yeah, it is funny. Like, so the track has jazz origins. But it's not like a, like people are really familiar with like swing, like or something like that being jazz. But jazz covers a lot of different genres. Like it has a lot of like sub genres within it. Like it's a whole world. And yeah, so this has like it's called a boogaloo feel in the drums, and then we've got the horns sitting on top playing the melody and stuff. But yeah, it's a bit of a mesh of things. It's not strictly a boogaloo. It's got the blues language sitting on top. And I'm thinking of how technical I want to go into this. Maybe I should.
If it goes too technical, I will start ask questions.
A threat or a promise. Yeah, it's interesting. So basically, this track's one of the funny ones where, like we've talked about, sort of time crunches before. So we had this map for a while, and this map, it's Port Bell, and it's kind of meant to be a little bit seedy, a little bit grungy, but at the end of the day, we're still playing a very fun, light car game. And that's when we're playing a fun, light car game, this is sort of a concept we had for the whole game. You have to feel like you want to move, and nothing does that better than sort of like dance music or groovy music. And also at sort of an up tempo. So this one's got like this fun groove in the drums and the guitar, the rhythm section is really complementing it. And then we've got the horn melody on top. But a boogaloo is something, it's not, so when we think of jazz, like this swing sort of feel, depending on how it is, we might think of like an upper class area. Like if we go into Act 2 and we go to Belfort, it's more of that sort of thing. And that's playing at the golf course map because it's more of an upper class, wealthy sort of vibe. It being in the docks, we want it to be a bit grungier. So yeah, that's sort of like the inspiration for the track. But it's got these cool horns on top.
And also the sort of percussion, the Latin feel.
Yes.
The percussion of being in a port and having influences coming in from sailors from other cultures. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the origin of the boogaloo in real life as well. It's sort of this cultural, melting pot. That's where jazz originates. So you get a lot of influence from the Afro-Cuban side, meeting sort of like the mainland jazz. And that's in a very brief way where a boogaloo comes from. But it's actually funny. This track was my second attempt at this map. I don't know if you remember this, Patrik, but really early on, this track was meant to be a bossa nova. And it was approved. Like, Daniel was like, oh yeah, I like it. But I was like, I sat with it for, I don't know how long. I think I wrote the demo for it like a couple months before I wrote this version. And I had to finish it. I was like, it's not working. I'm just going to do something new. And I think we were, maybe a week out from our first recording session because we had 3 recording sessions total.
For your part, when you're talking about when it didn't work, was there anything from your part that you felt like, okay, something feels off? Or did you write the full track and you weren't really happy with it for some reason? Or what was your kind of take on it?
I think, and this is the only track that didn't end up being in the game, I think. I think everything we've used somewhere in the game. But because it was a bossa nova, which is like dun, 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 and then I'm not gonna acapella the drums actually, but it's like this Latin, like sort of elevator music. That's probably like the most familiar part of bossa nova to a lot of people. It's not the right tempo. It's not the right energy. And but I knew it couldn't just sound like swing, so I went for that. Yeah. But it just wasn't the right choice, and so I don't know how I landed on Boogaloo. I think this was a moment of divine inspiration. Where something just came to me and I was like, okay, here we go. And then I wrote it, in I don't know, a couple days, maybe 2 days or something. And then Daniel was like, yep, this is it, approved. And I got the biggest seal of approval than my brass stamp. So it's a very fun track. It goes to a lot of places. And I don't know. It's very sentimental. For
me, who's not too like, I don't know about subgenres too much, and one thing that usually pops into mind when you start like merging like other things together, I usually hear the word fusion, but I'm guessing this is not a fusion because you're using the words bossa nova and boogaloo in this case. What's the difference between a subgenre and a fusion in this case? Can you guys explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think fusion, in a general terms in the jazz world, is something we're talking about in the 70s, where we start introducing like synthesizers and rock instruments or funk instruments into jazz. And it's like a fusion of like funk and jazz language.
So you take basically another genre that you go together with the jazz. Well, jazz can use different subgenres and fuse those together, but still jazz at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting to try to define different things, because I mean, you can fuse any two things together, but sometimes things just come together in a way that they grow at the same time. So instead of bringing two worlds together or something that's very like a clear this plus this, it's like this was formed because these are the people who brought this music together. And it's under the heading of jazz because that's what we call the music of like African American or like Latino American people from this time period. It's a very like generalized sweep, but actually it contains a lot of different facets. And I think it was important for us to kind of honor that in this game as well, because it is like a fictionalized America, cartoonish America, but it does have origins in a real world with real people and real music that has cultural meaning. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. It's a bit of a tangent, but it's a hard thing to define what fusion is.
Yeah.
Like, is it this plus this? Well, it's more organic and convoluted than an equation, I guess.
I fully understand that it's hard to answer that question, but I was still a little bit curious if there's some definition that musicians already know about that as normal people don't know about.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's
So
very,
I was just curious.
yeah, I think it's very varied between different styles. If you think of it from a sort of classical world, where a lot of classical music comes from dance in some form or fashion. Symphony orchestra, like symphonies, not symphony orchestra, but symphonies come from meshing together some forms of dance music from Baroque periods and then growing into other things. And I think the way I look at it is that when you have music that grows organically, takes one element from something, it could be the dance rhythm from one culture, one town, one musician, and that grows into a thing that musicians add something, and that is then said to be, oh, this is that style of music. And the sort of organically grown little variants, those are the subgenres. But when you use them specifically, you make a choice that you will take two genres of music and you will try to fit them together in some way. It feels like it's, and I don't know if this is true at all, but it feels the difference between something that grows organically into a thing or a stated, we want to combine these elements, and that becomes a fusion of things. But it's all ways of trying to explain music, that, and this might be true in some cases and completely not true in other forms, where fusion music might grow organically because that's the musicians that played in the band and their backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it's all just words trying to understand music and where it's come from, and it's not always true.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we give definitions on very, very large spheres that don't necessarily have defined borders. But yeah, hopefully that if it didn't help, it piqued your interest.
Yeah. So that was a weird curveball for me that wasn't necessarily related to this. So let's return back to the question related to the product. So in this case, Patrik, you were the one who were able to get this job for this game. And considering that you made Carla make a demo for this as well, was Carla already from the get-go, like from the beginning, joined in on this to make the demo? Or did you start working on this product before getting getting Carla in on this?
We hadn't met when we got this game, and funnily enough, we got got to work on this project because Daniel had listened to your show and my original time I was on talking about Lake Ridden. So there's even that connection to you and your podcast. But no, I'd gotten the job, and as I was making demos by myself, I noticed two things. One, it was really hard with the sample sets that we had to make it sound good. It didn't sound good to my ears. And I felt it was really hard hitting the mark on what I wanted it to sound like. I did not have that knowledge. And so I started looking into studying more about jazz, because I have written jazz before. But it's more modern jazz, and so I was not in the know about this genre. And then meeting Carla, I saw her drive and her knowledge base, and saw that I think this is the right way to go. We need an expert in jazz, because that will just elevate this soundtrack to what it should be. And after that, everything just went so much better.
That's awesome. Did you have any sort of references from the studio that, this is the style we want to go for? Or did you just have literally free hands to do whatever you like with the music?
They had heaps of playlists.
Yeah.
Spotify. So Daniel really knew, because he's worked a lot he's done video effects for TV and movies before. So he's worked in that sort of world. And he knew what he wanted, and he knew the feel of what he wanted. But I think he was amenable to us trying things and saying, like, this is the feel we want. This sounds to us like the 1950s we want to show off in the game.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember. For Act 1, I think the only reference we were given was the peanut vendor that in the jazz side. I think there might have been references.
There were a couple of other ones, but that was the one that felt like this is
totally
the one they wanted the most.
Yeah, and then in the second act there was more specifics, and then in the third act it was just sort of like, we did get some references from like Duke Ellington and
Swing Swing Swing.
Yeah,
like the classics in the jazz world.
Big band. And big band's like big band's really my origin. Like, I love big band. So it was like 3 tracks in Act 3, and I did it in 3 days, like a track a day, because big band's my element. But it was really good. Like, Daniel's very has like a lot of insight to his decisions, and he was really intentional with the references he gave us. Sometimes we did like clarify, like, do you like this about a track, or like what don't you like about this, and blah blah blah, and we'd have conversations about that, which was really, really helpful. And it's great to have references when talking to a director about music, because we have musical language and musical knowledge, but how we speak about music is how we speak about it because we've studied it, and not everyone has the language to say, this instrument is that instrument, or this sound is that instrument. So it's great to have a reference point so we can both discuss, like, I like what happens at 52nd or whatever.
And talking about feelings instead of like the music, the minutiae of music. So getting him to say, like, you like this track, what is it that you like about it? Give us 3 feelings that you feel about this. And then that's so much easier for us to narrow down what technically we need to do to achieve what he feels.
Yeah.
Or they or she feels. Whoever we're working with.
And I know, Patrik, you and me, we've been talking a little bit about how it is to get the response from developers, and how it can be hard sometimes. Carla, how was your first initial idea of getting feedback on the music that you create? Going back and forth between the developer.
Yeah, I've done some films before this one. So I've worked with directors before, which was really good. I'm glad I had that experience before, because I think I have this horrible trait of just assuming everyone knows everything I know. But it means that, like, I'll say something that the other person, or I used to say something that I think everyone understood, but then there would be miscommunications. So I've learned to explain myself better, essentially. And then also, like, listen to what people say and really try to understand it. And if I don't, find out what I'm not understanding, essentially. Yeah, and it's really great to get feedback on tracks and figure out what's not working, and also figure out what a director likes and doesn't like. And one of the things that we realized is that sampled trumpet really bothers Daniel. Sampled jazz trumpet, but actually I find sampled trumpet in general, like the software instrument trumpets, can sound so bad, like just really piercing, no warmth and no character to it. It's something, that's designed to sit on top of an orchestra, not be a featured instrument. And so it's just really intrusive. And of course, we know when we get a real trumpeter, that's going to mellow out. That's going to sound lovely and lush and beautiful. But a director doesn't know that. So figuring out what he didn't like is actually a fault of the software instrument. We can comfort him and say, oh, actually, it's going to sound like this. And then we did like a demo track of Peanut Smoothie Bar, which is like kind of the title track. Not the title screen, but like one of the main tracks of the game. And he heard what trumpet will actually sound like, or saxophone will actually sound like, and that reassured him. So yeah, it's really, it's always wonderful working with new directors and building that relationship and understanding each other. So yeah, I'm very, very happy for the experience.
Yeah. But also considering that you have worked with movies as well, what's the biggest kind of difference that happens in the process of making music for you when we're looking at the comparison now, movie versus video games?
Yeah, I think knowing that this song has the potential to be listened, or any track has the potential to be heard for like an hour, like the same song. And so building it in a way that it doesn't necessarily get immediately annoying, that it has some sort of longevity to the track. I think that's the biggest thing. And also but it still writes more like a song, because like in films, you don't know when things are going to happen. Or sorry, in films, you do know when things are going to happen. Like the villain walks into the room, like some big cue there. But in games, you have no idea when a player's going to crash into a building. So it's about building the world more than writing music to a specific action. It depends on the game you're writing for, but for this one, it was all about world building rather than a character theme or something like that.
Yeah. One thing, this is a question to a little bit of both. Let's see if we can make it not too long. But considering that when we're making music, especially looking at modern music now for video games, they usually tend to become a little bit longer. And looking at the tracks for this soundtrack, we see multiple tracks being like 5 to 6 minutes long. Is this is this made with the conscience that, hey, we don't know where the play is going to be and we don't want it to repeat? Or is there any other reason to it?
Yeah. No, I was thinking if you wanted to talk, Carla, about how we used Elias and sort of doing solos and variations within the game as a parent on Spotify.
Yeah, true. Okay, yes. So our Spotify releases were specifically crafted to be Spotify releases, or any streaming software release. They were edited to function like songs, so they had a beginning, a middle, and an end. But in the game, everything was designed to loop, and then upon each loop, you'd actually hear a different solo. So when we edited together our streaming tracks, we had to choose our favorite solos, which I loved. And like mixing them, you hear the same solo over and over. I think I can sing every solo from every song. So if anyone wants an a cappella version, let me know. But yeah, it was great. We got to use Elias for implementing the music of the game, and
Elias software, we should say, which is a middleware, audio middleware.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we got to put in the bass track, which would be the track without any solo instruments, and then we added layers with each different solo on top. And so it would randomize which solos would be played every time the song repeated. So we were hoping that would give each track some longevity and some interest.
I think the difficulty here with these songs is that with modern video game music, we compose it specifically for a game, which means that we can write different styles of music that works specifically for that. I know you and I, Chris, have talked about how I compose music for Valheim with using Palestrina, like 15th century composer techniques that help the melodies not be too catchy, so that you will learn and become friends with them over time instead of through a quick playthrough, which with a game like Valheim, where I've met people who've played it for more than 6,000 hours, definitely helps. Not that they necessarily listen to the music all the time. But in this game, we couldn't write modern music in the sense that wouldn't sound like music of the time. So we had to make the compromise between writing music that is of the time, but using modern tools to be able to use variation instead to make it feel like there is different things happening in it. And I think that we did that as much as we could. And also taking into account that a lot of the music of that time was in mono, so there was only one sort of speaker playing, or even if you had two speakers, it was the same thing coming out of both of them. And we wanted to try and update the 1950s aesthetic, so it still felt like an old soundtrack of the time, but that was as palatable and lovely as it could be for modern ears of 2025.
It's interesting. And I love the fact that it's also a dynamic soundtrack through this alliance. For people that don't know about it, you're basically layering everything up that creates the full expectation of what you're listening to. So I don't know what type of things you added, because you don't really have a health bar and so on in this game. So you didn't have those kind of structures, I guess.
No.
Did you have any specifics for the layering with intensity or something like that?
No, not for like the in-world game. It was just when the song repeats, it plays a different solo. That's the sort of thing there. But with the cutscene music, maybe we'll talk about it when we hear the last track of the day. Ooh. But basically, we did design those tracks with layerings because we didn't know where they would go. The cutscenes were fully finished, I think, after we recorded the soundtrack. So we basically recorded 3 different dynamic layers for each cutscene song that Daniel could then pick and choose from and put throughout the game's cutscenes. So dynamic in that way, I guess.
Okay, interesting. Oh, I think it's time to move forward to the next track. I'm having such an amazing, but we can't keep just pushing the time limit all over and over for all the tracks now.
Very true, very true.
So let's jump into the next track of the week. It's going to be Lumberyard Blues. I just love this track. Yet again, it is a playful track, and it has, well, this one kind of gives me the unique feeling of a Tom and Jerry hillbilly track style picture. Like what I'm seeing in front of me. And I just remember vibing to this track while I was playing the game. I was bobbing my head while this track was playing. And the faster section of this track, it like 100% gives me the memories of being up to no good. Like looking at this within the game is like, it has this classic picture of, no, I didn't do anything. While there's like a burning chaos behind me. And I just love, this track was so reminiscent just to listen to. And I loved and adored this one. So looking into this one, I'm guessing it's yet again more of those kind of hectic, kind of jazzy styles, Carla?
Well, this one's a little bit cheeky. So I wouldn't necessarily call this jazz, but it's one of those things, again, where we try to incorporate blues language. So then things still feel connected, because this is definitely like a bluegrass sort of track. And yeah, very country sort of vibe. Like, it was definitely to fit the world. But yeah, just trying to keep things cohesive by introducing some blues language. So like that's like the scoops in the saxophone playing, and in the guitar playing, like doing sort of it's called pentatonic language.
Pentatonic.
So you take like a major scale or a minor scale and you play 5 notes from it. So it's like the 1, 2, 3, and then 5, 6. Usually it depends on the scale. But
okay.
Yeah, it gives it that bluesy flavor. So yes, hopefully it's a bit of a funny track, and like it is a funny sort of map. And I think Act 2, there's so much funny chaos, so it definitely fits that sort of story.
I think almost like this track is kind of the, like, I would say the signature of the game. If I talk about the game, I would say like this track has everything the game gives you.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. But how did you feel with my emotion comparing it to a Tom and Jerry hillbilly track?
That's so good. I love that. I think that's good, because something Tom and Jerry were so good at, like the composers for it and Looney Tunes and all of that sort of era of cartoon, is that they were so good at sort of condensing a culture or condensing a cultural idea into a piece of music, or not diluting, but concentrating a style of music into something funny for reference. And I hope I did that as well, where I could kind of take this funny world and make it into this comical cartoony thing. So that's I really like what you said there. That's nice.
Yeah. And the game itself, it doesn't really it's like it presents itself being like a super realistic kind of game and so on, but it doesn't take itself seriously. And what I mean about that, you can literally just drive through a freaking house and nothing happens to the car, but the house is just completely demolished.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like in the beginning, when I was playing this game, it's like, I don't want to destroy my car. I don't want to. By the end of the game, I was just flying through buildings, doing shit out of it. It's just like, I don't give a fudge anymore. And it was so hilarious getting that contrast. It's like playing GTA. It's like, I'm not gonna do a crime. It's like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, it's a red light. I'm gonna stop here. But that's the thing, is like you're delivering like one section of this game. I'm gonna spoil it a little bit, but it's not a big spoiler. Like they will be like, oh, you need to go to the fish market because there's a guy there who wants to transport a fish. And when you get there, is a giant freaking swordfish. I was like, yeah, I need to deliver this because I need to prove my love. And in order to prove my love, I need to have this giant fish. It's alive, dude.
Yep.
So you're transporting this giant swordfish, and it's alive on the back of your truck. And every time it starts flopping, your car is flopping as well. Like, that's the level of not taking itself serious. That's the level we're at with this game.
Totally. And actually, that's the first part of the game I ever played. Like when I was brought onto the project. Yeah, so freaking funny. That's the thing. Like throughout the game, like the music isn't necessarily comedic, and so in that way, I guess we kind of let the comedy of the game speak for itself, and we don't need to comment on it. So yeah, I guess it is nice to have this one map, this one escape where we can be a little bit silly. Yeah.
Was this something you discussed in the team as well, about the music not being comedic in that sense?
Not outwardly, no, but I think it was that sort of maybe instinctual thing. And then like we got to this map and I was like, I wanted something like yakety sax because that's just fun and silly. That's what happened. It's my little escape.
Yeah. But that's great. Being able to escape a little bit and still feels like, I guess it's a trust thing as well, that Patrik trusts you to do what you do the best, and it works out. Like, it is amazing when that kind of conveys and that works well.
Yeah.
And one of the things you kind of spoil a little bit when you wrote in the document. So when you wrote this track in the document, you also wrote featuring Patrik Jarlestam on guitar. So Patrik, you've been in this rating as well.
Yes, this one wasn't necessarily that much by choice because we recorded the track, and in the chaos of doing that intense recording week, we'd managed to forget to record one of the melodies on one of the horns. And so one of the easiest and sort of cheapest way to solve it was to have me learn it on guitar and play it. And I had the producer's way of playing it, where you learn a phrase and you play that, and then you go on to the next phrase. You can't play it as one thing because you don't really have the time to learn properly and then record it. But so it was just lots of different takes smashed together like a mosaic. But it worked. It sounds good, but it has a different flavor. But it was really fun to get to play on a country track, and it works in the end, basically. But yeah, it has a different flavor than the rest of the track, and we had to work with fitting it in to sound not like an accident.
Yep.
Yeah, and like reworking something. I guess you guys went back into the drawing board. It's like, okay, how do we make this puzzle work together? Because you had this kind of section that might not be essentially. Did you need to rework the track a lot, Carla, in this sense then?
Oh, you mean after we realized we missed recording a melody?
Yeah.
No, basically that happened and we essentially just looked at each other and it's like, well, I guess you're playing it, Patrik.
Yeah, it's either that or trombone. So.
Yeah. And I was like, no, that's okay. I don't think it needs trombone. But yeah, it was fun. I mixed this track and edited it. And so I saw the beautiful mosaic Patrik had collected. And each take you do in Logic, we used Logic for this as our digital audio workstation. Yes. And each take you do comes up with a different color. And I think we had the rainbow twice. Like it was a beautiful collection of all of Patrik's melodic interpretations.
Yeah, it was. This is a style of music I don't usually play, and it's not necessarily in a good finger pattern for guitar. I mean, so much of country music for guitar is played so idiomatically on guitar that it can sound impressive, but it's really easy to play. Really easy. It's well laid out on the instrument. You play stuff that is really easy to play. But this was not written with that in mind, so that's why it was a mosaic, and you would need a better guitar player than me to really play it. But I think I could learn it, and I probably will do after this, just because it's nice to know one thing you've made yourself on an instrument. If someone asks, what can you play of what you've made, and I can pull that out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I did it in a dastardly key for you.
It was a great key, but just D minor would have been so much better.
Sorry.
But it wasn't horrible at all. It could have been E flat major and
yeah.
No.
I've been known to use an E flat major.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
But how confident did you feel when you noticed that you needed to play a little bit of guitar there, Patrik?
I mean, I was happy. I thought both me and my mum had that over exuberance, like, cool, let's do this, and not really realizing how hard something is until you're sitting with it. So it wasn't until I sat down with it and looked at it and started playing, like, oh no, I have to do this in a different way. Yeah. But it worked out really well because I played the other stuff, like the other things I play on guitar for the rest of the soundtrack are relatively easy because it's stuff I've played a lot before in that style. Okay. And when I can compose something, of course, I can choose to make it idiomatic. If it's too difficult, then like, okay, what can I do that isn't as difficult but sounds equally as good? Here I had no choice because the melody was written. It's a good, fresh feeling as a composer, getting to understand how good the musicians you work with who actually just sit down and play this, no hesitation, straight from the get-go, and you sit there and have to work really hard at doing it half as well.
Yeah.
So it's a testament to just how good the musicians are that we've been fortunate to work with.
Another thing that popped into my mind, especially when we're talking about the mosaic, having like multiple tracks and so on for different sections, etc. Now comparing that to what you started the whole thing where we just got in a musician, they did 3 takes, we have 3 different tracks of the same, playing it full and so on. Which one is the most easier to work with? Having this mosaic of many puzzle pieces, just matching them together? Or is it easier to work with a professional that makes 3 different ones and just take sections from that?
Oh, well, I mean, for ease and also for like excitement of like a true professional, because as much as we've studied composition and are obsessed with composition and are in that world, they've dedicated all of that time just to their instrument and those genres that they specialize in. So the life that they bring to any music that we make is just incredible. And that's the thing with the soundtrack as well. Like, even if the perfect sampled instruments existed, and we could have done the soundtrack with them, it would have just been so much better always to work with musicians because they bring their, I think we had 17 musicians. We bring 17 amazing geniuses at their instruments in to bring their art and their interpretation to something we write down. Like the dots on the paper are an idea and they really make something just utterly beautiful out of it. So yeah, but I appreciate Patrik and his beautiful mosaic, but wow, it's so amazing to work with musicians.
Yeah, they just add so much more to anything. So we try to, as much as possible, record real musicians. And we were very fortunate to have almost this whole soundtrack recorded only by live musicians.
Yeah. And for me, it's like one thing I usually lean on is usually talking about, I think I made the statement the first time through one of the episodes I did, and it is about the perfection is within the imperfection, which is why I personally usually tend to love having a live recording over a sample as well.
Yeah.
It is just crazy bonkers to me with all the AI going on. And of course, that could be a whole episode by itself. So I'm not going to dive deeper into that one.
Yep.
But it is just bonkers. No, but we listened to 3 different tracks right now, and they had their own kind of style to it, etc. as well. When you worked on this, the whole soundtrack feels very coherent, which I kind of like. But as we talked, we go through a little bit of a, not time period per se, but things happen within the game that spans over multiple years. And a little bit things actually do happen with the music. Like, what did you do on the composer end of it all to make the soundtrack feel so coherent and have this kind of red thread going through it?
I think we did define it to a degree. Like we knew the flavors of Act 1 would be surf rock and sort of this Afro-Cuban jazz because those were our 2 references. And they both make sense for the world. Like it's Act 1 is in a sort of coastal island tip of the island. And these are both, or these sorts of musical genre worlds are both associated with the coast because that's where they're from in real life. And everything musically we pull upon or draw from is music in real life, in the real world, and where that comes from. So I think intrinsically, you know, even though musically, like you think, wow, Afro-Cuban jazz and surf rock have nothing in common. We know where they exist in the real world intrinsically, and we know what these musical genres kind of mean. And then, so yeah, that was Act 1 sort of defined. And then Act 2, we were like, well, this is much more Americana. So what does Americana mean? And so we've got like the country bluegrass side. We've got sort of like the traditional jazz swing golf course upper class sort of thing going. And then we've got your rock track and literally called American Nostalgia. And then for Act 3, it's all set in the city, and you know, it's the big ending. So we wanted big band because that is the sound of an American city, especially when like the city's kind of New York kind of vibe, kind of Chicago vibe. And during that time period, that's where big band music lived. There was a huge big band trend happening. There's hundreds of dance halls you could find in the city, and every single one of them has a big band playing. So I think, and even though not everyone knows that, I think intrinsically somewhere everyone does associate with that sound with a city. So yeah, even though it doesn't seem coherent or at face value when you like look at the genres what they are, when we hear them and see the world, we understand the associations because it's the real world.
Totally said. For me, it sounds right now that the music is kind of personifying the areas in a sense.
Yeah, 100%.
And I love that fact.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like Daniel really emphasized that the world is such a key character of the game. It is its own character, and so yeah, we knew time period appropriate music would be really important to getting that across.
Yeah. Patrik, do you have anything to like say on this topic as well, or?
I think that's a fantastic answer and a lot better than what I had. But I think that's sort of the common thread in sort of Solid Sound's work is describing its world building via emotions, because the sound design we do to the incredibly talented Marlene Håkansson, she sort of paints the world in how it works with all the sounds, and we paint the world with music and how it feels being there. And that's the commonality with Valheim. It's about painting that world so you understand how it feels to be in that world. And even though Valheim and Deliver at All Costs are two completely different games, it's all about making you feel that you're there emotionally. And I think that's what I'm most proud of with Deliver at All Costs, both that we managed to have two composers that come from different backgrounds but coming together and together describing that world with different genres, but that have that commonality of what exists in the real world. And I think that's what we really, for me, that's what we succeeded with, and I'm very proud of with that fact. And it feels awesome. Like it feels like you're in the 50s, 60s, anachronistically, but that's sort of welcome back in time to a place that never existed in exactly like this. But
I definitely agree on that. I didn't feel like the music was something else than I was portrayed with this game. It felt like the hand in the glove. It's like we say in Swedish. I don't know if it's saying in English either, as well, but I don't know.
It's like a glove, exactly.
Yeah, like a glove. But yeah, it is time to go into the next track of the week as well. This is going to be a short one. It has this majestic name, but it's a very short track. So people, don't go to the toilets because the track will be over before that. Because the track name is Something Bigger Than Us. Short and sweet. That was something bigger than us. And my emotion of that is almost the same. Since it's a short track, it's a short emotion, I guess. Short, mysterious, yet majestic, and filled with intrigue. The big reveal of some kind. So, Carla, I'm throwing the ball straight to you on this one. I'm guessing, like, this is definitely for those kind of big reveal. Dum, dum, dum.
Yep, totally. It's definitely inherently dramatic. Yeah, I won't spoil anything about the game, but it does come at a really dramatic and important story plot in the game. And so it needed something to fit, and it also needed something to really fit the scenario which we're in. But how do I explain this actually without? Can I spoil anything? Shall I give a big warning? Spoiler.
Yeah, give a big warning in there.
Yeah,
that's the best.
Go ahead, just skip it. Anyway, so like the cutscene, Donovan goes into the future, but we don't want it to sound exactly like the future, because that would be completely unrelated to the game. So we knew it had to be dramatic, and we knew it had to relate to everything done so far. So Daniel said this to us in the meetings. He wanted to sound sort of retro futuristic. So if you think like, I mean, kind of like a Star Trek sort of vibe.
The 1960s, yeah.
Yeah, 60s Star Trek. So we're still in the time period, but they've got all these futuristic like chord progressions. So these chords, there's no blues here. No blues. So we've definitely moved somewhere different. And it's also a full sort of orchestral track. So for this one, I drew upon a lot of the sort of modern film composers of the time because it is a cinematic. So I drew from Jerry Goldsmith, was a big one. He's one of the main composers for Star Trek. One of the most iconic composers of Star Trek. He did the film. I think this film was in the 70s, the one that he did, but it's building upon all of the established language of the Star Trek series, but with a more modern or slightly more modern musical approach. And then also Bernard Herrmann, who was completely iconic during the 40s to, or yeah, maybe late 30s even, until the 70s, I think. And he did a lot of films with Alfred Hitchcock, and his Bernard Herrmann's sort of vibe was like psychological future sort of thing. And that phrase at the beginning where you hear da 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 is something he made really famous, and now we all sort of associate it with sort of the future and the weird and travel. And I think Bernard Herrmann also did The Twilight Zone, so I'm pretty sure I kind of delved into his tracks as well on that one. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like an homage to all of those really great film composers of the time, and took that sort of harmonic approach.
Yeah, no, definitely this kind of the entrance of it all. It feels like a teleporter of some kind. Something weird is happening, you know?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. But I like this, like looking at this, that having the dramaticism to it, being just 46 seconds. I think it's hard to make a longer track in a sense. So usually when it comes to drama and so on, they usually tend to be a little bit shorter. Is that like a right interpretation, that it's hard to make longer dramatic tracks?
Yeah, I'd actually.
Or is it just harder, maybe?
I definitely agree with that, because if you do such intense drama for more than like, I don't know, a minute, you just have to contrast it with something. Otherwise, it loses its impression. There's only so many ways you can sort of, I mean, this is like raise the roof, which is completely not a phrase of the time. But before it kind of gets old, or it's like, okay, let's move on to a different sort of flavor. Like, if we think of this song as like a punch, we've got to, if it goes on any longer, we've got to like feel the reaction, feel the hit, and what happens next. So yeah, it's definitely fun getting to do this bombastic, short and sweet track. But yeah, this one was actually the last track written for Deliver at All Costs. Yeah, so unfortunately we couldn't record this one with any live musicians, but thankfully it's an orchestral sort of thing, which has much better samples. So yes, hopefully that was convincing enough. But yeah, it was nice because I think also we finished writing for Deliver around June. Oh no, it would have been May, I think, would have been the last tracks for Deliver at All Costs. And then I wrote this one in December of 2024, so a couple months after. And it was really nice to have sort of the break and the reflection, and really appreciate where this game is going story-wise, and do something that really fits. I think this is the only bespoke music that we've got for a cutscene in the game.
That's true. I did make a track together with Marlin, which was made for sad cutscenes, but that wasn't for a specific scene either, because all of our tracks just needed to be working for multiple cutscenes, and that was sort of a feeling. We had a really sad track, but that was custom written for one cutscene that didn't get used for that cutscene in the end. It got used somewhere else for a string quartet requiem style. But it ended up that this track was the only sort of custom for one cutscene.
Interesting. Looking at the tracks, the 4 tracks we've been listening to so far has been selected by you. So we basically, I'm the one who made that choice to play the track I chose last. Why did you choose the different tracks that you did? I'm going to start with Carla's choices here. Questionable import and something bigger than you. Why did you pick these specific tracks from the soundtrack?
Yeah, I think the point of it was just to show the range and the fact that we have one in-game piece. And I think that one was really sentimental because that's... I think when I wrote Questionable Imports, that was when I really felt like Deliver is real. Like, and like, I kind of took ownership, like, yes, I am a composer for this game, and this is what I offer. And so, and because it kind of came in this like, inspired way where I wrote a track, didn't work, and then I wrote something that worked. I think it really, I don't know, had a lot of power for me and showed me the power of just like, okay, well, if it's not working, scrap it and do something else, and not getting attached to an idea if you don't believe in it, and not being afraid to get rid of something and look at a blank sheet or a blank Logic file again. So yeah, I think that one's fun for the sake that it's in game and it's got that sort of sentimental value. And then Something Bigger Than Us was my last track for the game, and that has sentimental value as well. And that one actually took like I think it was draft 6 when I finally got it. You wouldn't think like 45 seconds had that many drafts, but it did. But it was this really nice thing where like I took a break from it, and then I like for a week because I wasn't understanding like where it needed to go, and Daniel's like, there's something that isn't quite right, and I couldn't figure out. And then we got back to it. We had a meeting, and then it made sense, and I was so thankful that Daniel had pushed me to keep changing it, because I really loved where it went at the end and what it became. And yeah, and that one also showed me the power of chipping away when you don't have the divine inspiration. So yeah, yeah, I think those are my favorites for that reason.
Yeah. I love the answers as well. It's just wonderful.
Thank you for your questions.
And yeah, no worries. And I kind of want to hear a little bit on Patrik's perspective. You're the one who've been contacting me actually on multiple occasions. I was the one who did not reach out to Carla right away about this. I think you pushed it to me in total, I think 3 times before I actually wrote. I should have written before, but it kind of just went away. And then I did some other interviews and so on. And then Patrik came back again. It's like, yeah, reach out to Carla. I was like, yeah, definitely gonna do that. And then I forgot it again. So I'm so sorry about that part, and I'm honest about it at least. But Patrik, your choices. You had Lumberyard Blues and a Hot Rod Shout from the soundtrack.
Yes, I am quite proud in the sense that I think the Hot Rod Shout was, for me, my coolest brass addition to the whole game. And even though the other sort of surf rock tracks, I think they're really cool and they really hit the mark on being very nice stylistic pieces. This one felt cool. And when I started out being a composer, I felt I composed in 2 sort of main fields, and one was either cool music or beautiful music, and I tended to go between those 2. And I felt like this was a cool track. And we also, between me and Carla, we wanted to show the breadth of what was in this soundtrack. And of course, we had to cut a couple of suggestions that we also really like. But I thought that Lumberyard Blues is another track that's really just fun. And it's not as often with video games these days that you get to do a track that's just funny. And so we wanted to get that one in there as well. And because it's one of my favorite tracks of the whole soundtrack. Because it's just, it's a good laugh. It's a good time to be. And I think everyone can understand that when they hear it, it's like, oh yeah, this is what it's meant to be. And of course, we have a fun story of me having to sort of fix something that we'd missed before. Together we had to fix something that we missed before.
Yeah.
And also, I also wanted to say that one of the reasons I think that you should definitely have interviewed Carla is because she's a fantastic composer. And I think that she has so much to bring to the musical world. And it's also cool that we are hearing more voices from composers who are not just men these days in video games, both women and LGBTQI cool people.
Yeah.
And I
100% agree.
And that's why it's so important, both with your podcast and also getting to hear all of these voices that think in different ways. And like I've said, that I've learned so much from Carla and her ways of thinking about things. And she's the new generation. She's the new cool kids on the block, showing us old people in the genre. I want to call myself an old man now because I am, but I'm very happily. I'm only 40, but I feel like I've done some cool things in my life, and I have a whole lot of life left to live. But from a Swedish perspective, I can call myself an old man and be quite happy about it. But I still have so much to do. But that's the thing. We want to. Me personally, I think it's so important and fun to get to lift up the next generation and using the platform of where I've come because of games like Valheim to get to have more people show what we're doing and bring new voices and expressions to the game is so important and fun, and it feels like a treat for me to work with these people and have them as both friends and colleagues, and keep that sort of not pulling up the ladder behind me, but putting down more ladders and more possibility for the next generation of people to show what is cool and what's possible.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard today. So many people, I think we talked on this topic as well, that there are so many people that loves music today, but it's so easy to just put your work out there, but actually getting jobs and being able to live on your passion of music is not available for everybody.
No, I mean, it's really lucky that I'm from Sweden and I have a contact network there, and the video game industry is big there. Australia is up and coming in the video game world, has had a couple of really big hits now, but it's just a very different beast, and the money's not here yet. But there are changes being put in place that hopefully will change that. But yeah, had I been born in Australia, I would not have had the same possibilities as if I would have grown up in Sweden. And of course, if I would have moved to other countries like England or the UK and Germany, Japan and America, that would have given me other possibilities as well. And that would have turned out also differently. But I'm incredibly proud of being Swedish and coming from there and what we can espouse with how we grew up. And also, of course, Scandinavian folk music, which I dearly love. And I think is a very, very true expression of the climate and the culture we've grown up. And so I'm very happy taking that into video games.
It is a unique world, I would say, because it feels from time to time that when I'm talking to composers, like, this is not how the real world works, I get the feeling of, but it's exactly how it works. But it feels so surreal to some extent. And I kind of love that it has this unique kind of universe to itself, in a sense. But I know it's just part of the ecosystem. I know that fully, but it feels so unique somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't have any further questions on this short track. And we're getting closer to the end of the show. But we still have one more track, and it's the one that I chose. So let's listen to that one. We have a final little talk about that track. And we'll see where this ends. But the last track of this week is called Post Haste. Fading out the last track of the week. This was Post Haste. Yet again, reiterating, it was from the game Deliver at All Costs. Check it out, people. So, my emotion for this one. This track is more like a long-built track. That's one that puts pressure on the task you're taking. And by the end of the track, I definitely felt like I was running out of time. The track, isolated, it sure gives me a bit of creepiness, though. Like, it's giving me the goosebumps. The track, it has this kind of grasp around me, and it makes me feel unease. And it's like having that on top of everything and knowing from when I played the game, two different kind of versions, I felt, even though it's the same track. Of course, now that we talked about having the dynamic of it all, that it's more of a setup as a song for Spotify, maybe this is what happened with that dynamic part of it all. But Carla, you were the one that created this one. I wanted to focus on you, so I went through each and every track on the soundtrack, trying to take a track that felt like a curveball. That's usually my work of selecting tracks. So when it comes to Post Haste, do you agree with having this kind of running out of time while playing the game, but still having that kind of creepiness outside of the game?
Yeah, totally. So for the cinematic tracks, like you said, it's for streaming services and the soundtrack, we've made lots of pieces into one coherent song. So this is one where it's 3 dynamic levels. So for the first third, you'll have level 1. The middle, you'll have level 2, and then at the end, it should be the most heightened. And every time you increase a level, it changes key up, so it increases that tension. I think for every sort of cutscene, we were like, okay, we have to do sort of 5 tracks that could be used in a lot of different places, and we had a special keyword for each of them. And was this one like drama? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
The original word for it was drama.
Yeah. So yes, this is the dramatic track. Yeah. I mean, we had like sadness and tension. Those were two other tracks as well. Comedy, yeah, and we had to rename every track like right before we released.
Yeah, because we had the peanut smoothie bar was the only track that had sort of a name from the beginning.
Yeah.
Every other track had gotten a name from where it was in, like what area it was in the game or what emotion it was for. And Daniel said that we have to name our tracks. We can't have a soundtrack with name-based titles.
Yeah.
So we went through it. But that's also made it hard because we never got used to our new titles we made up in the end.
Yep.
I think now we've sort of gone over, but when you think about certain tracks, they will have the old names like, oh, that was the drama track.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we remember it as such for the longest time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like comedy is Norman, man, the myth, the legend, because it kind of became more of Norman's motif than any other comedic bit. So yeah, this track, drama, this one's a little bit different than other things because it didn't pull upon any sort of film like I guess trope of a genre. This one was just about building tension and trying to create some anxiety. And so we've got like an Afro-Cuban drum beat in the background that comes in at level 2 and level 3. But even in level 1, it's still you're primed for it because in the viola and the strings in general, they're playing that this triplet feel, which feels like a very fast pendulum swinging, which I think inherently makes you a bit anxious. Like, this is faster than our heart rate, and split up into triplets, it's not necessarily natural. Like, our body kind of moves in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like a march. We're walking in a march sort of way. So when we have something in triplets, it does give music a bit of a flavor. And so this one, I've leaned into the anxiety of it, and how there's a momentum that's building and building and building. So yeah, definitely on the building vibe.
And when we say triplets, of course, just for people who are not necessarily in the musical world, that we can subdivide a beat into lots of different variations. But if you subdivide it into 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have triplets, you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or you can go faster. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And all those subdivisions make you feel different ways, and in different styles and ways of playing can also be completely different. That triplets in Swedish folk music can be like a very jaunty dance, but they can also be very, very drama-inducing in this way, like Carla's made it work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Interesting.
and on that, so yeah, we've got that Afro-Cuban drums in the back with the triplet sort of feel. And then on top, we have a slow-moving, like at the beginning, we have slow-moving flutes, woodwinds. So you've got this contrast of like a very fast-paced string section, and later like a rhythm section, the drums and everything. But on top at the beginning, you have something slow-moving that's very dissonantly descending. And you just know you're going somewhere, and it's not really resolving anywhere. And then in level 2 and level 3, you get these pop, 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 these hits that make you feel more anxious, and it feels more aggressive. So yes, I wouldn't necessarily call it jazz entirely. It's a bit of a mix of some classical sort of treatments and some jazzy treatments.
Feels like cinematic music is sort of the meeting point between jazz and classical.
Yeah, totally.
It sort of feels of the cinematic world of that time, even though it isn't.
Yeah, it's
that was sort of
pulled
the aim.
from anywhere. Yeah, no, that's so true. Yeah, cinematic music back then, because jazz was popular music back then. So you'd hear a lot of orchestral stuff and then blended in and mixed with jazz music because that's what was popular at the time. And jazz and classical music have a lot of harmonic crossover. So it was very easy to fuse those two styles together. So it was a nice meeting point for each track to have a bit of classical, a bit of jazz blended together, and also kind of still fit within the world of the game.
And your string arranging.
Yes.
Because that's sort of a nice loop back in the sense of starting to take lessons in string arranging, and now you are writing this is your own string arrangement from your tradition of jazz and also what you've learned of classical orchestral music, and bringing that into life into one piece.
Yeah, totally.
Would you like to I'm thinking of the process that we recorded strings in was a bit, we didn't have the money to have a whole string orchestra, so we did it in a little bit of a different way.
Yes. Yeah. So basically we had the budget for 4 string players. That was 2 violins, a viola, and a cello. And what we did is we would record each sort of section maybe like 3 or 4 times. And then at the end, we'd layer all of these sections together to try to make it sound like a much bigger section and give it more of a cinematic feel. Because in cinema, everybody's using orchestras. Back then, orchestras were part of a studio. So like MGM, for example, one of the biggest studios back then, they had an MGM orchestra, and they would come in every day, play whatever the music to whatever movie was just coming out. So everything back then had a really bombastic sound because that's what the studios were funding. It was like a guarantee. So yeah, we really wanted to pay homage to that and try to have a bigger sound with a smaller budget. So that was it.
Well, that's great. Yeah, finding the different kind of I would say shortcuts in a sense. I know it's not entirely a shortcut, but let's say it's a shortcut to achieve something bigger than it's not, but still giving it the treatment that it should receive.
So and I want to admit a little fault I made that happened during recording, just because it's fun and a human thing to do. And there was so much happening that I had managed to say the wrong date to one of the string musicians. And so when we actually 2 of them, I think, and when we checked in with them, one wasn't possible for her to come on the day. But the other one was just like, oh, but the recording's in a couple of hours. Like, no, I've said the wrong time. Can you come now? I'll pay for transport. Just please. And so we recorded 3 string musicians together. And because of the way we set it up, we both had spot microphones, like microphones close to the instruments, and also microphones that recorded the ensemble in the room. And that was day 1. And on the second day, this other musician came in that couldn't come on that day. And we recorded her playing her parts and sort of listening to the take and how they intonated. So it was basically 2 recordings spliced into one. And with the magic of recording, we made it work. So that's a way to, if you want to record a small ensemble, a big ensemble with small ensembles, you can record the room and where they're positioned in the room, and then you move them back. So they sort of also have the depth of sound that a real orchestra would have. So that's one of the ways you can do that these days.
That's a good suggestion as well for other people that might need that suggestion. So that's really good. That's really good. I don't have any more questions surrounding this track per se, because I think you kind of covered it all in the different sections and made me understand the questions I kind of already had surrounding this. So, is there anything else you want to talk about specifically from this track, Carla?
Gosh, I mean, it's kind of a thing like, what do I want to reveal? Because when Patrik just mentioned his funny story, I'm like, I could mention something like a faux pas I also did, but I've already started mentioning it. But yeah, gosh, I mean, this is like a big thing I learned for this section throughout this project, which is the importance of sheet music preparation. And I'm very familiar with preparing sheet music for like brass instruments, jazz setups, but strings. That was the first time I'd ever recorded strings. and so, and because of the production timeline, everything's squished together. I'm doing sheet music, sometimes the night before, and then we're going to record it the next day. And so for this one, I gave it to the viola player. She looks at it and she's like, "Oh my God." And it's because I've just like, in my tired, sleepy brain, I've like written some things in literally the most unreadable way imaginable, like double sharps going to double flats, like very, very difficult. And in this track, there's 3 key changes. So yeah, it was not an easy time, but gosh, Beth, the violist, was incredible and just took it like a champ, and and she's so talented, so she did it anyway. But yeah, it's amazing getting to be reminded of things you should really double check before you give sheet music to anybody. So yeah, but yeah, it was a really great track. A lot of tricky little bits to it, but our musicians were fantastic, so not a problem.
That's awesome. So now we know if we ever want a challenging sheet music, just call Carla.
I've learned. I've fixed my ways.
I think that's a rite of passage for all musicians, as composers who write for musicians and have too short of a time period for different reasons, for different projects beforehand, or do it to the best of their abilities and then learn that there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
That is a rite of passage. And many a composer have heard many a scolding criticism when put music in front of musicians, and it will still happen, but that's how we live and we learn.
Yeah. I would definitely say I learned that writing music for a game is about 50% of the work.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's just so much more that has to go on behind the scenes to make it happen. So
I mean, testing the music in the game, seeing that it works the way you want to is one big thing. And the implementation in the game and recording it and mixing it and then...
And editing.
Yeah, the editing. Does it sound like we want to in the game? Because we basically go from a demo that has sounded in one way because of sampled instruments, and then we go into recorded music. It sounds in a very different way. And does it still work the same way? And we've also been used to the sampled sound for 70-80% of a game, and now it's something new. Usually it is just so much better. But there are a couple of times where I've been, okay, we need to change how we mix this so that it works in the game. And that's what all game development is fixing things so that they feel like it was just the most natural thing in the game.
Yeah, definitely. No, but on the topic of challenges and so on, I think it's a great segue to just talk a little bit more about your personal challenges in this project. And for this, of course, we're starting with Carla. But when you worked on Deliver at All Costs, what was the bigger challenge for you?
I think, well, because I think total we worked on this project for 3 years. And we would write it a little bit, and then there would be a big break while they're finishing more aspects of the game. Because we were brought on really early, like when they did their first vertical slice and were pitching it. So it was like a really long time to be on a single project, and I'd never experienced that before. And also writing a really massive body of music for one thing as well. It was the most I had to dedicate so much brain space to one thing for so much time. So yeah, I think in that way it's also like tenacity, because I think it's because when you're first, I mean, it's always exciting doing work for a game. It's so exciting. And when you're first presented with the game, it's like, oh my God, yeah. And then you get into the thick of it, and it is work. And pushing through that work for a couple months. And then you get to the recording, and it's like a massive payoff. It's so exciting. And then you've got the next hill to climb, which is the editing, the mixing, and then the implementing. So just the longevity of being able to to have the energy consistently throughout the whole project. I think that was a really big learning thing for me, and learning how to make sure I have sustained energy for an entire project. And treat it like a 9 to 5 some days, and other days it's like, wow, I cannot wait, and I spend like the whole day and the evening on it because I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
It's like waking up on Christmas morning every day, in a sense.
Yippee. Yeah, definitely.
And some days, yippee.
Yeah, sometimes I'm the child on Christmas, and sometimes I'm the parent. But
oh, I love that.
That's very good like this.
Thank you. Yeah.
So on Patrik's part, looking at this project as well, what was the biggest challenge for you?
Initially, it was making music that I felt was the right fit for this game, and understanding that, one, that there were no samples that could make it well enough, and two, I didn't have the full knowledge picture of or the knowledge base that was needed to do this. And I feel like this project became so much more apparent when Carla came on board and we did the first demo together. And even though Carla wrote bigger parts of the first track, the Peanut Smoothie Bio, I added guitar parts to it to sort of fill out the things that were needed in it. And that was our first collaborative track, but that came together really well and laid the foundation, I think, for the projects that we are working on now instead. So that was a big challenge, because in all other projects as a freelancer, you try to go in with your knowledge base and your belief in yourself that you can solve whatever is put in front of you. Well, in this case, I had Daniel's belief that I could solve it, but myself feeling like, no, I don't have the full base of what I need to do this project. And so it was such a treat getting to work with Carla. And because the way that Solid Sounds was built up, the company we run between me and Malin Håkansson, and knowing there's so much take and give between us, we've already established that within the company that's how we do things. So with Carla, that was just, it became an extension. And some days when you feel like I'm not getting this, I'm not getting anywhere with the track I'm working on, and then Carla chimes in and shows like, oh, I've got this thing I've worked on, and you feel like you've achieved more than you would have done just yourself, because Carla has made good headway on a track she was working on. And I think that is the power of working in teams, and when you trust each other and work together for a common goal, that you can go so much further, because Carla and Malin might be having great days and I'm not, but as a team, we've made great headway. And then I might carry that another day when Carla or Malin haven't made progress as well, and it still feels like, oh, we still did this as a team, and this is really inspiring. And I've caught myself many times with hearing something that Carla done, like, oh, I'll take inspiration from that and I'll use that to try and finagle my piece into something more. Like, for example, with a Hot Rod Shout, I don't think I would have thought about having a horn section thing in that piece without the work that Carla has done. And it turned into one of my favorite parts of the whole game.
I didn't know that.
So I think that's really cool. Because it would have been easy to do like, oh, I'm just going to do a blues shuffle thing for guitar and that's going to be the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, having like, no, we're going to do proper horns for this. It's quite cool. And the way we discuss pieces nowadays with like what is needed in them, which instruments we choose and what expression. And I think that all of the things we learned from that project really go into the projects we work on today, where we can sit next to each other and go, oh, what if we try, maybe this is the, and oh, we add this instrument, maybe the French horn should come in here. And it's still a really good giving and receiving feeling, but you just, you create something which is a project which is bigger than the sum of its parts. And that's when teamwork at its finest, I feel.
That sounds good. That is amazing, getting that together already as well. Like the only thing that I can see in the future is like maybe you will in the end get too synced and everything will just work too smooth. That's what I'm afraid of already.
That will never happen. We are all human beings and we all have lovely quirks. And also, I think also because we're all on our own path of what we learn as well, and I will learn things outside of working with Carla that I then can take into working with Carla, and of course Carla will do the same. She will work on, I mean, she's composing music now for movie shorts and movie projects. That is her own thing, and the learning experiences she gets from them, hopefully she will bring into the team collaborations. Exactly. And I will do like modern art music concerts, which I hope to do more of, and I will bring that experience into here as well. So it's not just, we never become one little unit, singular ideas and visions, and that's why it's also so important to work with other people than yourself and bring those things in. Like I said, in 10 years time we're going to bring in the next generation of cool kids to show us what we can learn, and that will be really cool.
They will teach you all about skibbity toilet and stuff.
Yes.
They were like, learning experience, and then you will look like the guy that has his thumbs up and looks like he's crying. I was like, yeah.
But I mean, isn't that a cool thing that you can work with people who can something? I would say that what I know about skibbity toilet is I'm not necessarily that impressed by it, but it's because it's not. I haven't grown up with it. But imagine meeting someone who can show you, like, no, actually, these are the cool things about that, whatever it might be, and open your world to a completely different way of thinking about it. Something that you found just like, I don't understand this. What is this? Why? I think that's the mind-bending thing. And if we can keep that idea alive in ourselves until we are not in this world anymore, then we can always learn something new.
Keep an open mind, folks.
And it's so easy to say, but it's so hard to espouse. It's not just keeping an open mind. I think it's much more multi-layered than that. It is. Being able
to start is literally just the door open. Yeah, like you see the door is open. That's the open mind. But actually taking the steps towards that door is one step of the journey. Going through that door is another step of the journey. And then it's like, oh, I'm at the disco. Nice. And the last one.
I think it's being able to see the beauty in everything. And when you can see the beauty and where it fits and why it was made, and you see the craft behind it, whatever it is, then I feel like you have an open mind to seeing what the world is like. And I think it's the same with human beings. If we can see why a person has made the choices they made and see the beauty in that, then we can learn something.
Yeah, I agree. And moving onwards, we also have the counterpart of the challenge. And this time we started with Patrik. Sorry. Patrik. Patrik.
Yeah. Sorry, a bit of Scanian, my home county accent there.
Yep, some dialect. No, but talk a little bit about the achievement. What are you proud of with the work you've done on this soundtrack?
I'm very proud of the mixing and the implementation of all of this, and managing to update something that works for modern ears, but is written today, but still feels like it is the 1950s to a listener. Both like how not going full stereo width, but not going full mono either, but playing it in between those. Like, how do we position the different instruments between two speakers to make it sound like it is 1950s, but it's not as a modern listener would listen to it, because we don't have financially easy access to real 1950s gear, and we don't have the time to record things like they did in the 1950s either. And feeling like we got to work with a team that made an incredibly cohesive world that tells a story of an era that we didn't live or grow up in, but we've heard the music of, and we managed to make something that is a new thing in the style. And I think the comments that we get from people who have grown up in the 40s and 50s that we've seen online that have really liked the soundtrack and have listened to it more from that perspective of liking the music, that feels like a cool achievement. It was also just really fun getting to work in something very different. This was the sort of biggest project we've done after Valheim. And very different challenge in a way, more back to our roots as what we grew up with as children, and perhaps our parents' music more. And also knowing now the projects that we're working on now, which is another step something challenging and fun to do has been very rewarding. And of course, one of the things that as a composer you hope to get to work. But and also the biggest reward that we had a team that believed in us and we believed in the game. And we worked really hard to make this the best product it could be with the omständigheter. Sometimes you just forget words in English. With the circumstances
Circumstances
that we were given.
I was gonna guess that's what that meant. Yeah.
Very good, very good. I think that's my summary.
Yeah. And then moving over to Carla, what's your biggest achievement with this soundtrack?
Gosh, I feel like there was a lot for the reason it being like my first game. Just like having a first big game, that's so exciting. Yeah, like yes. I think working with someone, collaborating with someone so closely on music, because as a composer, most of the time you're by yourself, and then you like send a file to a director and they say, "More this." But like, I mean, collaborating with Patrik and having that conversation with him and him being like, "I think we should do this," and having and creating a product that serves something else and serves someone else's vision and also adds to it. And I think it was really amazing getting to talk to Daniel and achieve his vision as well, which was really awesome. But I think my favorite thing was, and especially like in like we kind of touched upon before, like in the age of AI, creating something that is so distinctly human, like getting to work with, I think about 17 musicians total to create this soundtrack and showcasing, you know, my friend's talents. Everyone who played on the soundtrack is my friend, and you know, getting to kind of premiere some Sydney musicians in a world we don't really get to be a part of musically, because video games are new in Australia. Most people go outside, they go surf, not me. And and it's so exciting to be a part of this industry and bring it to my friends, and it's unreal for them. Like Miles Rooney, the trumpet player, we were playing the game together, and he's like, "I can't believe that's me." Like you have this detachment when you see it on a screen. You're like, how could this actually be me on a game that people can download on the PlayStation Store? Like it's crazy. So yeah,
this is a real feeling.
Yeah, very proud of that. Very proud to do it with friends and to do it with Patrik, who is a mentor and a friend, and
and now a colleague.
And a colleague. So yeah, yay! Yeah, I'm very proud.
That's awesome. No, but it's been fun listening in on the challenge and the achievements that you experienced through this, and of course all the more in-depth conversations about the different music and so on. We've listened to 5 different tracks. In total, I think it was like, was it 40-something songs?
36.
Yeah, around 35.
Yeah,
somewhere
36
there.
songs on Spotify.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's a whole lot more for people to experience within this soundtrack, and highly recommend people to do so. But before we're closing down everything surrounding Deliver at All Costs, is there anything else you would like to say that you felt I missed, or that you guys know that we missed?
I mean, there's always the thing with as composers and working on projects, we always have to look for the next fun project. So if you've liked the music either of Deliver at All Costs, or if you've loved being in the world of Valheim and think that we are a good fit for writing music your next game project, then absolutely hit us up. We're available on solidsounds.se, and you probably know my name, Patrik Jarlestam, because I'm very searchable. And you shall soon know the name of Carla Dobbie, because she's also very searchable. But we're very varied, and we love a new challenge of a new game. And we're trying to look into some more electronic stuff at the moment, which is also quite fun. But on that, yeah, we always have to look for more work, and that's my pitch as a freelancer. What
Yep.
is your pitch, Carla?
My pitch. Well, I think you did a great job of that. But
Thank
yes, we're always very excited to even chat to people. We're very approachable, I like to think. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you like. And yeah, I also just wanted to say thank you so much, Chris, for having us on. It's so nice. It was funny because also your voice I've listened to through the podcast. And
Yep.
then I'm like, oh, it's his voice, but live. And I'm talking to it. Yeah, it's a really cool thing you're doing. And it's very exciting to be a part of. And I can't wait to listen to every other episode you do. So yay.
Happy to be that part. They're like, no, this is actually recorded. I've been out all time.
Oh my god, yeah.
The
We
metal
had like
that one.
dialogue options we were selecting every time.
The twist, like 2 hours into the episode. It was recorded all along.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No, but it's been amazing having you guys. Well, Patrik joining again and Carla for the first time. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been amazing having you. And Carla, since you said that people can reach out, how can they reach out to you? Or can they reach out to you through Patrik? Because Patrik was the only one stating any facts of how
That's
to reach
true.
him.
Yeah, you can go on our website, solidsounds.se, or you can contact me on my website, carladobbie.com, or I also have Instagram, Carla Dobbie Projects. So yeah, that's all my avenues.
Awesome. Moving onward from now, like Patrik, you stated that there's always more work to be done. And considering the projects that you're working on in the future, is there anything you are able to talk about that we can look forward to in the near future, maybe?
Well, we're writing new music for Valheim. Valheim is the fun thing with Valheim is it's sort of very open what's happening with it because it's still in early access, but they're aiming to not be in early access quite soon. And we are working on music. Carla and I will be collaborating on writing some music for that, together with other very talented people as well. And we are working on one other project, which we're so happy about. And it's so cool because, like I said, we're co-writing. We're really 50-50 on the music for that one. And we cannot say anything.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. It's a really, it's really a big,
sealed.
yeah, it's a really big project, both like the scope of the project and for us. And we're really proud of the music we make for this one. I feel like it's the meeting point of the sort of the classical expressions of both of us and movie soundtracks. So
that's great.
We hope to be able to say more about that soon. I mean, when we can say anything, it will be out on both our solidsounds.se. I will probably post it on my Instagram, which is the Happy Woodworking Swede, where I usually post on my woodworking projects and things I put together or disassemble. But I will be posting more about the video game stuff there. I'm also on Discord for people who want to reach out there. I think Discord would probably be the easiest way to reach out to me. If you have anything there, I'm Patrik Jarlestam Composer, all in one word. So add me there. But I was going to say, have I missed any other projects we are working on at the moment?
No.
No, we can only talk about the ones that we have contracts with. So we're in negotiations with a couple of projects, but nothing is. My dad told me it's very true. Nothing is true until you have a signed contract. Then it is true. So nothing is true until those are signed.
I thought in the beginning there, when you started saying nothing is true, I was thinking instantly everything is permitted from Assassin's Creed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago I heard that one.
Like that, no? Then I know your dad is an Assassin's Creed fan. Nothing wrong with that, just saying.
I'm a big fan here too. That's all right.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at. No, but we hope to do much more, and I also personally look forward to seeing all the projects that Carla is working on her own cool way. So there will be a couple of movies coming out, movie shorts and things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to hear more about this in the future as well, following both of you, of course. And yeah, we'll see where everything goes. Now we've seen a little bit of the beginning of Carla's journey within video game music, at least.
Yay.
And may there be more, and there will be.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. And for everybody else who's listening in on this episode, if you like this episode and want to have more like this, you can just search for Gameable Audio on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Pocket Casts. And don't forget to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just getting more subscribes and likes and follows always helps more people to find this amazing content. Rub myself.
Good
But
pitch.
feel free
Good pitch. Love it.
Exactly. This is my time to shine.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Have a listen to Chris's other episodes. They're fantastic. And
Really
such
good.
a great library of different composers and their experiences with game music. And it is really inspirational to have a listen to.
Definitely. No, I love it as well so much. And this is the best thing I can do as just a enthusiast of video game music. And as always, I always believe that composers and artists for video games definitely need more credits than they give or get. So,
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
yeah. And you can also feel free to follow and comment on one of our social medias, either on Facebook or on Instagram. Just search for Gameable Audio and you'll find us there. And also, if you want to support my work and financially help out a little bit, but also getting some perks on top of that from time to time, like a little bit earlier episodes. But every time I'm getting something from a composer or a developer, like video games or soundtracks, they will be given away directly to my Patreon backers. So feel free to just go in and support for only $1 or up to $10 if you want to. There are some merch as well coming in with it from the middle tier and the big tier. You can either get a sticker or a mug. So feel free to join in on Patreon. And the current awesome backers that we have today is Daniel Onemark, Lars Schenström, Titti Schenström, Kevin Wikström, Sandris Wikström, Mats El Kebabo Tapper Holmqvist, and Alexander Halldén. And of course, all the links to where you can either buy and support the composers, Patrik and Carla, you'll find those in the episode description. And the music, the theme music for the podcast and the edit was done by the amazing Thor Myrdal. So with that said, this was episode 63 on the game Deliver at All Costs, together with Carla Dobbie and Patrik Jarlestam. I am your host, Kristoffer Schenström. I want to thank everybody for joining in and sharing and listening. So thank you all so much. Have a nice weekend and week, no matter when you're listening. And see you all guys next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.